Pregúntate, un espacio radiofónico donde todos tenemos mucho que preguntar.
En inglés, porque tenemos dos invitados. Eh, y ya. I want to start this episode with a quote that reads, "Language doesn't just describe the world, it shapes it." Welcome everyone to another episode of Pregunta-T. Um, Today we are going to be talking about the topic language and knowledge. In fact, we have two special guests, which are Gracie. She lived in the United States for 8 years. And then we also have Carol, which was in a program in Navajo. The language and knowledge thing talks about like the difficulties they had when they have to talk another language. So we are going to start to hear from both of you. I want to know your experience when you got to the United States and how it was like speaking with other people if you already knew the language.
Um, so my name is Carlos. I went to a exchange on Navajo Nation, and for me, my experience it was not that difficult because I've been learning English for since I was 9, so I really had a kind of good level. But when I first got there, it was a very different language, so I kind of didn't spot the pronunciation, so I sometimes when I try to sentence something, I messed up, so that was very difficult. And when I woke up in school, like the first language I had to talk, it was English, so it was kind of difficult at the beginning, but when I had to continue, it got more easy.
Okay. You've lived most of your life in the United States, so I want to know what it was like when you got to Mexico.
It was very hard because, well, especially school was very hard because the concepts here were different from the US. So, yeah, especially the language.
Okay, this is a question for both of you. Do you think language made you understand like the world in a different way? And if it was like hard to adapt your ideas or emotions and to express them in another language?
Yeah, I think it was kind of hard when I first got there because I really had so much ideas and so a lot of Spanish phrases, so I didn't really got to say those, and instead I would have to think in another way that people will understand me using the same phrases or conveying the same meaning. So I think it was kind of difficult. Yeah, that was an experience.
Okay. And what about you, Brizzy? Do you think it was hard to express certain things that you didn't know in the language?
Yes, because, like I said, there's different concepts to what something means. So it was hard for me to find the exact words I wanted to say.
Yeah, because after at the end you didn't express the same thing you wanted to say. This is also a question for both of you. Do you feel like changing languages also change your identity in a way?
I do think so because I know stuff in one language and then I know it in the other language and they just mix. So I don't know like what language I know.
Did you have problems like with your personality? Because you have to become more like shy, less to talk less.
What do you mean?
Like for example, you came to Mexico and uh, it was hard to make friends because you didn't understand each other, right?
It wasn't hard, but it was different because the personalities are different. Like here in Mexico, they're friendlier, and in the U.S., they mostly keep to themselves. So
Okay. And you, Carlos?
I think the same as Gracie. When I got to the United States, I experienced very different personalities when we're talking about people. So she says that we're friendlier here, and I agree with that. And I also think that speaking English, comparing English and Spanish, it really does change my identity. I think in Spanish I'm more open since it's my native language, and in English I'm a little bit more reserved because I'm not that confident still. But in English, I can sometimes it happens to me that I have some phrase that I have in English that I don't know how to say it in Spanish, so I just say it in English. And yeah, there's a lot of things that construct my identity based on language.
Okay, so you do think that it changes your personality?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And now, did you feel that changing languages also change your identity or your way of seeing things?
Um, I do think so. Well, I was reading some of the homework that our teacher Eileen got us on cognitive, and I got an example from a tribe. It was a tribe that, well, that tribe, in order to develop, they would orientate themselves, so they would say their orientation. And so I think that language really affects your identity because your identity can be constructed on orientating yourself through life. And in Spanish, you just say like hello. Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah. If if you feel that changing languages also change your identity and your way of seeing things.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Okay. This is also a question for both of you. Do you think that the language limits or expands what you're capable of knowing?
I do think so, but it also confuses it a lot.
What?
Like there's things I know in English that I don't know in Spanish, and there's things I know in Spanish that I don't know in English. So you know more, but you know less.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And this is also a question for both of you. That is, to what extent can a language influence your personality or confidence when communicating? Like how we were talking about this, that you didn't know certain words or how to express yourself, so you just did it.
It does change your confidence. Uh, Speaking in another language, um, it really depends on a lot of factors. So, speaking another language, for example, I'm going to put this example. A lot of people say that Spanish cuss words are better than English ones. So I think that Spanish are more like alive and you can shout them. That gives you like a bit of spicier personality. Like you're more able to express yourself in those words. And in English, it's like just straightforward, like kind of plain. So I think that it really does change the way you express things and express right then.
Like what Gracie said, that in Mexico they are more like friendly, warm, or they can express themselves.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, now we're going to answer some questions that people have been asking in the chat. Is it possible to translate complex knowledge without losing meaning?
I don't think so.
Why?
Because, well, again, it's like there's words that have different meaning but mean the same. Like they might be pronounced the same, but they have different meanings. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay. And you, Carlos?
think the same as Gracie. It's not really possible to translate a thing to thing with the same meaning. Like when you're translating a text or a novel that you're reading to another language, it's not gonna be the same. There are sometimes there are like trouble, like mistakes in the translation, and it can't be so accurate because of the same thing that Gracie was mentioning, that a word can have a lot of, it can be ambiguous, like depends on your interpretation, and it has a lot of meaning. So I think that I agree with
Okay. And do you think that the language you speak builds your identity?
I think so.
I think so too.
And is your identity the same if you change your language?
It could be for yourself, but for other people, I don't think so. It's different.
Okay, so you think like inside you're still the same with the same personality and identity, but outside people see you different?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, this question is for Carlos, and it's if in the future you think everyone could speak a language that is created like only one.
There was a try to make that language a while ago. I don't really remember the language, but people were trying to phonetically and like the writing to be easy so for everyone could like speak it. But I think no, because every language is it contains something. So to put some language as what everyone has to do and superior in a way, it really doesn't put so much meaning to communication, and that's the whole point of the language. So I think in the future, me personally, I wouldn't like a one specific language. I'm a person that really likes to learn new languages, so I think it couldn't be so true.
Okay, and you, Gracie?
What was the question?
If you think there can be like only one language that everyone speaks?
I don't think so, because every language has like their own culture, so it would just it wouldn't fit.
Okay. To what extent does the language we use limit or expands what we are able to know, and how can untranslatable concepts change our understanding of reality? We were just talking about the untranslatable concepts, like things you can say in English but not in Spanish, or things you can say in Spanish but not in English. So, do you think that challenge our understanding of reality?
Yeah,
And how do you think it affects or benefits both languages?
benefits, but I knowing that there's an idea to it. So an untranslated, a word without translation, it it has an idea, but you can't translate it. So you have to think in a way to translate it well. So I think that it benefits our thinking because you could use like be more open to critical thinking to how to construct sentences, and it affects because it limits our level of communication with other people, or if the word doesn't really have a meaning, it really limits knowledge because we communicate knowledge through language that only part.
Okay, we're about to close, and I have a last question for both of you. Do you think language can become a social barrier? Why and why not?
So, such a what?
Language can become a social barrier.
Oh,
I think so,
Why?
because um, it's difficult to talk to someone when they know like one language, and you might know too, and it's difficult because you don't know. They know more about the language than you do. You know?
Yeah. What if you both knew like the same
Languages.
yeah.
I think that wouldn't be very.
Okay.
Because in Texas, there's a lot of bilingual people. So if I don't know a word in English, I can just say it in Spanish. If I don't know a word in Spanish, I can just say it in English.
Okay. And you, Carlos, do you think language can become a social barrier?
Yeah, I think so. I can agree with Grace said. I think social barriers create the lack of communicating knowledge. So if you don't really communicate something, it becomes a social barrier because you are not trespassing that. So it might be hard, but you can overcome that.
Okay. To wrap up, I want to leave with a phrase that reads, language isn't just a tool to express what we know. It's a lens through which we see the world. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Thank you to our guests for sharing experiences. And thank you to everyone.